Welcome once again to the Purple Rock Survivor podcast. Sorry if I can't muster the enthusiasm in my voice this week because we're just plodding our way through, Andy. I mean, the producers are on our side here. They're doing exactly what we are. They're just hanging on till the bitter end, even though they'd love to be doing anything else.
And they're getting to that end as quick as possible, by judging by the 13-episode season that we're giving us. Yeah, last week I was all, optimistic, maybe this could be good, maybe this could be good. Yeah, you're not getting any of that this week. If you want to hear optimism, you better listen to a robot, because this season sucks.
Yeah. I remember thinking last week, what the hell is with your optimism? I'm glad I could bring you back to the crushing reality of the suckiness of this season.
Well, it was supposed to be this episode. This was the chance. And I know there's still some people hanging on to some optimistic thread that it's hey, they just rolled it over to next week. But no! This episode was pointless, and it's just indicative of this season. And we're gonna do some discussions on the season as a whole, in the middle of this podcast, because a pointless episode doesn't give you a whole lot to talk about. In fact, almost out of protest, you and I were just gonna do junk Survivor ephemera talk for the whole episode. Just be hey, nothing happened, so, let's figure out who'd win, Survivor Frozen, but, Survivor Arendelle.
I was gonna say, we've already plotted this whole thing out. It's, what's his name? Dancy Weaselton guy.
Mayor Weaselton?
Yeah, he's totally the GOAT of that season.
Yeah, but Hans would win, by the way. That's just easy talk.
You know what?
He'd be...
Let's save it for another podcast.
But yeah, we will talk about this episode because a year and a half ago we decided to start doing this, and some reason we're sticking to it. That was really easy to do when you had a First Blood versus Water season or Kagian. This season's going to test our commitment, and I already feel like you are pulling Julie on me a few times in the next couple weeks.
So close. I'm squeezing my big fake boobs together, and I'm packing my bags as we speak.
And, of course, those big fake boobs are why people don't like you.
Yes.
So, this was an episode that had lots of things. Because it was a merge, there was no reward challenge. They had extra time because there was no tribal council. So a lot of things seemingly happened, but really, did anything happen? Did we learn anything from this episode?
What's weird is, judging by the previews, it really does feel like this might be essentially a lost episode. You could just not include this if you rewatch the season, and it would flow seamlessly. It wouldn't matter at all. You'd just wonder why suddenly Julie was gone, if you noticed at all.
Yeah, you beat me to that. Yeah, and what people think they learned, obviously there's been other instant reaction. I mean, that's what people do. That's why, what we do. We're just a little less instant. Of oh, Jeremy dodged a bullet and this is what's gonna happen. I don't believe for a second that the story that we got, the incomplete story that we got, is necessarily the truth. I mean, it could have been. Who knows? But that's what Survivor does. The producers always feed you, false threads here and red herring there. And it isn't until they get to the final chapter of the episode that you can find out which was legit and which was bull. We didn't get that final chapter, so I don't believe it. I don't believe necessarily that Jeremy was about to go home. I don't believe necessarily that Josh was about to go home. What I'm saying is we have no effing clue because they were just jerking us around for 45 minutes because they didn't have a complete story to tell.
Yeah, and not even doing it in the fun way. Our friend Matt and I have a theory, and bizarrely, I was going to post this theory and see that Matt had posted it just minutes before me, of course. So the whole reason they edited the show this way was just to show us that this was the one and only chance that there was a time to take Jeremy out. This was Josh's big chance, and now it's gone. So it looks like, it's all set up. Josh is in a great position, but I'm so convinced that by next week, all these plans have fallen apart. Josh is not in any sort of power, and Jeremy's going to emerge from this wreckage as the winner.
Yeah, and from a storytelling perspective, that could be what happens. It is possible. That's why they gave us that feeling that Jeremy was there. And we'll see. We'll see if that's what happens. But again, I don't think that, Jeremy necessarily dodged a bullet. I think the show is showing that, but the way they showed it is it made it seem like John and Jacqueline had decided, yeah, we're voting Jeremy. But, earlier in the episode they decided they were voting Josh, and until the feet are put to the fire, I don't believe any decision that those guys claim to make. Especially because it's so easy for the show just to manufacture more doubt and stuff. Hypothetically, what would it be like? Why would you go with Josh's plan? Oh, it would be really good to go with this couples thing, but I don't want to because I like Jeremy, but I think I might have to. Like, that might just be somebody thinking out loud, especially somebody who struggles thinking.
Thinking without moving their lips?
Yes. But yeah, I do think there's something to that theory. Maybe that's what the story will be told here. If Jeremy wins, then definitely this will be like this turning point. And then they'll have to bring Josh back because it's like, oh, he came so close and then Julie screwed him. But
phrasing.
I might have to make a robot voice of that.
Yeah.
But in terms of what actually happened, I'm not sure. Like, I'm sure John entertained the possibility of flipping over to Jeremy, but I don't think he was committed. And I think the big smoking gun there is that he never talked to Missy, who has basically been like his mommy and controlling most of his actions for the past few weeks. And Missy wasn't part of Josh's alliance, so it's hard for me to believe that John is.
Well, here's the thing that disappoints me about this. Well, there's multiple things. Here are the multiple things that disappoint me about this. My opinion of Jeremy has been falling. Like, I'm not as high on him as I was at the start of the season. And my opinion of Josh is actually growing a little bit. Like, I can see him as a bit better of a player than I did at the start of the season. Like, I feel like he's getting a better grip on strategy. We already mentioned that he's pretty decent at the social game. But this episode, if anything at all that it did, because it barely did anything at all, it set us up for Jeremy versus Josh. But the thing is, that battle has to come to an end real soon, because they're not just going to dance around each other for a long time. We've already gotten confirmation from both of them that they have targets set on each other. So it's not going to be something 5 episodes down the line. It's going to happen within the next episode or 2. So once that happens, what happens then? I mean, after that, what's the next plot? That's it. You've gotten to the conclusion and there's no other story.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, the one thing that this episode did well was set up that Jeremy versus Josh battle. They're clearly the 2 best players of this season. I mean, I've been saying stuff about Missy. And I will back that up. I still think she's playing a good game.
Ooh, we'll get to that one later.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm not saying she's playing a great game. Don't get it twisted, people. When I'm saying she's playing a great game, it's amongst these, people. So in the Valley of the Blind, the one-armed blah, blah, blah. But,
one-armed?
Yeah, like, everything this season has been set up, yeah, I know. Josh versus Jeremy. Those are the only 2 people the show's been focusing on. But that, yeah, to your point, once it's resolved, which will probably be like next week, I don't think more people are quitting. I suppose there's possible that, like, an alliance partner would catch the ricochet, but that would probably do enough to really win the battle anyway. I don't think there's another story after that.
All right, well, let's just move on from Jeremy and Josh here and go to the other J&J.
Yeah, this was an episode of J's, because, Jeremy, Josh, John, Jacqueline, Julie.
Yes.
There you go. That's like one of the most interesting things about this episode. Carry on.
Yeah. Woo. If only Woo. That actually might have made the episode better, which
Come back, Woo. We miss you.
Dark commentary on this season. So, where do you think John and Jacqueline should go here? Because I already have my theory that they're staying with Jeremy, and this is all a big smokescreen that we're seeing this episode.
And they should. I don't understand the appeal of going in an alliance of couples in the first place. I mean, I suppose if you're in tight with 2 of the other couples, that could work. But if it's 6, and, let's get to that number in a second, too, then it's basically 3 if it's all couples, right?
Right.
It's like your 2 people are 1 vote, you're the other, and then in this specific one, they're 5-6, Those other 4 were already aligned before you got there. Or at least, Josh and Reed have a much stronger connection to Wes, thus Keith, than they do to John and Jacqueline. Like, John's just meeting them for the first time. I guess he knew Reed, but I'm not sure they were aligned. And Jacqueline certainly wasn't aligned with Josh, so that makes no sense. And then there's also just the thing about Alec. Like, he's not a couple, but he seems to be involved in this. So then you're not even 5'6", you're 6'7". So, no, I think it'd be ridiculous to go to that couples, which is why I don't have a lot of faith in that's what was actually going to happen this week.
Yeah, I do so this is why my opinion of Josh actually went up a bit, because he's talking about a couples alliance, but he never mentions he's gonna drag Alec along in that couples alliance because he knows at some point he'll need the number, and when he does, breaks out Alec and starts whacking, whacking off the other couples. Gotta be a better way to say that.
There's any way would be a better way to say that.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I've been not as down on Josh as you. I was the one who pointed out that, yeah, he actually is good at Survivor, just maybe not strategy. And as the season's gone on, I almost feel like, how good can you be at strategy when working with these people, right? But I thought his maneuvering was actually pretty good. His initial, with flaws, which is the best you can say for anybody this season. His initial foray was like, okay, I'll pull Baylor in. And that's where his weak spot is. He just thinks that, Baylor just do whatever he thinks and whatever he says. And, surprise, she's not interested in always being the person you let votes get cast to. He hasn't actually been that good to her. But he pivoted really quickly. And he's like, okay, that's not going to work. And he picked up on that, with her weak-willed, maybe, yeah. And then, found John Jacqueline. Presented them with an argument that works to their favor. Again, a little flawed, in that he shouldn't have been talking about, him and Reed versus Jeremy in a final. He should have been talking about John in a final. I get what he was trying to talk about. It's just that you would rather be in a final with me or Reed, super successful Broadway stars, than you would be, a Boston firefighter. But at the same time, it should have taken himself out of the equation. It should have all been about John and Jacqueline. Right. So it was a good pitch. If you want to believe it was successful, then definitely you give Josh more credit. I'm not sure that it was, but it wasn't a failure either. But yeah, it's such a bad move for John and Jacqueline that I kind of refuse to think that. I don't refuse to think that John would go for it in the short term, like, oh yeah, because I don't think he's a very smart man. His biggest concern always is what's the next thing going in my belly.
Yes.
But I think, again, that's why it was an incomplete story. All it would take was Missy pulling him aside. It's like, really? Because it's Final Four, me, you, Baylor, Jacqueline, and we can just drag Natalie and Jeremy until we don't need them anymore. Mm-hmm. That's an easy argument, and in a way that, I don't think Josh and Reed offered that at all, and I'm not sure they believably could.
Well, and here's why I think this whole episode was a smokescreen. Jacqueline's body language and facial reaction when Josh is talking to them is totally dismissive. She's not the least bit interested. And you might have had some confessional from John saying like, oh yeah, the couples thing makes sense for us. That's what we're going to do. But again, those confessionals come from producers asking them very leading questions. So I'm sure they got that confessional out of him. I'm sure you could get any confessional out of John if you just dangle something in front of him and he'll start talking about it. But they're not going that way. Even as terrible, and they are terrible at this game, even as terrible as they are, they have to realize it's a much better idea to go with Jeremy's group.
Yeah, all it really takes is Jacqueline being like, yeah, I was on a tribe with Josh and you didn't give me the time of day for 9 days. So, I don't think I think it's a non-starter. Now, what should they do if, they were really operating under their best interests? Yeah, I think going with Jeremy's side in the short term is good. But what they should do, and I think their best move, would be to each side that's wooing them say, okay, I'll go with you, but you have to vote out Alec. This whole Josh versus Jeremy, that doesn't mean anything to them. Neither, both of them are trying to work with them. Alec is the person that could screw them on both sides. So if it's Josh and you're like, okay, Jeremy's the danger. He's going to win. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, that's true. We can get him later. But, if this is going to be a couples alliance, you need to give me something. And you need to vote out your partner, Alec, because I need to know that, we're not 6-7. And then same with Jeremy. It's like, okay, no, we got to go after Josh. It's like, you just spent some time on the island with Alec. I think he's kind of dangerous. Maybe I'm even a little worried that Josh might have an idol. So let's vote out Alec this time. And it would be a good test to see who's willing to agree with you and who's willing to give you the power of the vote. And interestingly, I think neither of them would. And that's...
And And the flaw in that argument too is that puts you in the swing vote position. And we know that is not as powerful of a position as you would hope it would be.
Well, no, I wouldn't portray it as though I'm the swing. It would be more like, yeah, I'll go with you guys, but we're voting out Alec. We're not voting out Jeremy, or we're not voting out Josh.
Okay. I thought you're saying to make that same pitch to both sides.
Well, I would, but I wouldn't let either side know that.
Okay,
like,
gotcha.
I wouldn't let them know I'm a free agent. It's just like, okay, if we're going with you, this is who we're going to vote for. And if somebody's really going to, make you a valuable part of their alliance as opposed to just, vote what we want you to vote, they should be able to like, yeah, sure, Alec's not part of our plan. We'll vote him out. Yep. He's kind of strong too. So he's the kind of guy that would go at the spot anyway. And that would tell you who's on your side. Josh probably won't go for it because Alec is a very key part of his strategy.
Yes.
And then, sadly, Jeremy should be the one that should be like, yeah, sure, no problem.
I'm in.
Them all out. But Jeremy, I could see being just so pig-headed and stubborn. That it's like, no, it's got to be Joshua Reed. It's got to be Joshua Reed. Now, what I would hope is that Missy would then talk to Jeremy and just be like, no, let's just get rid of Josh. And again, at this point, it seems like I'm making Missy out to be an amazing player. It's not it. It's that also for the previews next week, it looks like Alec is going to really wear his welcome out with the women. So that could also just be a soft touch to unite Jacqueline, Baylor, Missy, and Natalie. And that actually could have success. It could be Jeremy, because Jeremy has already proven that he'll do what the women want as long as it also aligns with his goals, even if it's not his primary goal.
Yeah, at least if it doesn't interfere with his primary goal.
Yeah, so that's what I think the best move for John would be, because it tells you which side is actually on your side.
So what do you do then if everybody votes out Alec?
That's the problem. That's where it backfires. If everybody agreed to it, then you're screwed when you come back. So hopefully it would be more like a feeling out process and you'd have an idea of who, if Josh is like, no, it can't be that. It's Jeremy. It's gotta be Jeremy. We gotta get him now while we can. He's gonna win 10 immunities in a row. Then Josh is messing with you. He's not sincerely interested in you as an alliance partner. He's just trying to get Jeremy out. And vice versa.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, if John and Jacqueline were good players, a clear path now where they can be the power couple and work their way to the finish. They're not going to.
Oh no, that's total hypothetical, like putting myself in their shoes. But They are who they are, and they're in the position who they are because they are not.
Are you putting yourself in John's shoes or Jacqueline's shoes?
That might be Jacqueline,
You would look so fashionable in her shoes.
My feet are too wide. But say they just go the normal route and go with Jeremy, which is what we've both said that's the way to go. Like, they could be set up to win. Which is a sad commentary on the season, but also, maybe a fairly accurate commentary on the season.
Yes.
Because I think they would be. Like, I think Missy and Baylor would be better served going with John and Jacqueline than they would be with Natalie and Jeremy, yes?
Yes, very much so.
So then if that's your final four, now John and Jacqueline just have to win that, if it's a final three. We don't know.
Yes.
But they would need to win, one of them would need to win that final immunity. An immunity holder basically decides who goes. Nobody really wants to go up against it.
Right.
You gotta figure John and Jacqueline have a better chance of winning almost any kind of challenge than Missy and Baylor. Well, because they don't typically do puzzles as the final one, right?
Oh boy. If they did, that would be a mockery.
So then it would be them against Missy and Baylor, who I don't think anybody really likes. I mean, Missy seems to know short term how to get people to act in her interests. But long term, I think the longer time that people spend in Missy's life, the more they want to not be in her life. That just seems to be what we know about her biographically.
Is there some kind of pattern that you see having occurred there?
I think there's something about fool me once, fool me 3 times, you're a bad wife.
So I actually wonder, this is a quick aside here, but is it that Missy constantly brings up her divorces, or are the producers leading her to bring up her divorces?
Little from column A, a little from column B.
Yeah, because I've never seen anyone so fully define themselves over their failure at marriage.
Yeah, I'd say if you were at like a dinner party and Missy was there, that's coming up once, but it might not come up every time, unless you're asking about it all the time. So yes, the producers are definitely hammering it hard, but she has no issues in sharing that knowledge.
Yeah. Like, well, it's already out there, may as well beat it to death.
Alright, so that's basically it for the strategy of the episode, which again, I think our final analysis is, don't believe anything you saw just yet.
Yes.
But the only thing that actually happened of consequence, and I think there's scare quotes around that consequence, is Julie was our quitter. We knew there was a quitter this season. For some reason, we just didn't think of her, probably because we didn't think of her.
Yeah, period.
So we've been doing this for 3 seasons now, and each season we've had somebody quit. So the first time was Colton, and we led into, probably a half-hour discussion of the history of quitting and Survivor, our general opinions on history, or quitting and Survivor, where Colton ranked. And we felt that was pretty definitive. And then the following season, Lindsay goes ahead and does it. And we finally have a shorter discussion. But each time we had to get into the same question that in some ways is getting tiresome and redundant, but in other ways I kind of feel like it needs to be asked again right now. Was this the worst quit of all time?
Do you mean, was it the most boring quit of all time? Because it's up there for that.
Most quits are boring. There's just like, whatever, loser. I guess in a sense, like the worst reasons for quitting, the worst justifications, and like in some ways the most damaging. Like this destroyed an entire episode, and possibly because it was the merge episode, it's a good chance that it swung a big part of the game. At the very least, with your theory, they're going to position as though it did. So it could be one of the more damaging quits of all time.
And I will say as a quick aside, like, if you are holding out hope for this season, you're basically hoping that this season turns out like Fiji, where we had the not merge episode followed by a good merge episode and then a fairly strong post-merge game. I don't think we're going down that path, though.
No, because I think also with Fiji, as bad as that first half was, and yeah, it was pretty dire, there were people you liked, right? Like, there were people to root for. They were just losing a lot or not doing well. But you know...
There were 2 people I liked.
Well, certainly Yao-Man, and liked a lot. There's nobody on this season that you'd like Yao-Man.
No.
I liked Earl. I liked Michelle, who actually got taken out in that episode. And then, like, Dreams was interesting. Cassandra seemed fine. Like, there was enough people that... And then the other people, you hated a lot.
Yes.
And so when things flipped, it was like, yeah, those terrible people are going, and the good people are doing well. That this season doesn't have that to offer. I don't hate anybody a lot. I just kind of hate them all because they suck and they're ruining my television show.
Right.
And I'm not really rooting for anybody. There's, like, one that I'd like to do well, but... not enough to really excite me. So, yeah, Julie's quit in the way that it was positioned could help wreck this already wrecked season. It certainly, like, destroyed an entire episode because of the timing, right? Like, right before Tribal Council, there's nothing the show could do but what they did. Usually, a quitter happens and it's like, okay, we got enough time, we can also vote somebody out. But this was like, probably an hour before Tribal Council?
Pretty close. Which, as a quick aside again, how crappy is it to be Keith and you just want immunity? You're getting nothing out of that. Because they're going to have another challenge next week.
Exactly. And like this happened before. It happened, not as a result of a quit, but it happened in Tocantins that Joe was medically evacuated and then Tyson's immunity meant nothing. If the show was really wanting to be a little more fair about it, then Keith should just keep immunity, and then they have another challenge that somebody else could win. They've had 2 people have immunity before.
Exactly.
Especially at this stage in the game where there's this many people.
Yep.
It wouldn't be that big a deal, but they're not. I don't think they're going to.
I don't think so either.
So that sucks also. If you're playing Fantasy Survivor, Keith is literally the only thing that happened.
Yes.
His winning.
Everybody else got 0 points this week. Keith was the only one that got points.
But yeah... So her reasons for leaving, like, what a bunch of BS, huh? Like, do you have any sympathy for Julie?
Not really. I did find her quotes about, like, how she was perceived pretty funny. Lack of self-awareness always makes me laugh. I do have a soft spot for that, so I was amused at least.
Yeah, it's the way I put myself together. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah, and look, she's probably not entirely wrong. There were people who judged her based on that. When you show up on an island like a Barbie doll, people are going to be like, yeah, she's not going to cut it. And guess what? You proved them right.
Yes, exactly. Like, well, here's your opportunity. Prove them wrong.
Yeah, it's like one of the reasons why we didn't think she'd be the quitter is like, oh, they're just going to vote her out. Like, we had no faith in her to do well in Survivor, and we were right. She's not built for this game, and the show has, come out and admitted, and Probst, as representative, that it was a mistake to cast her in the first place.
Which, thank God. Like, I like, and people gave him crap for that. I like that he at least acknowledges, all right, you know what? This was a mistake. We screwed up. We kind of thought she might be a quitter, and we cast her anyway. Our bad. That's
Which
fine.
I think explains why he soft-pedaled it so much. Like, Colton didn't get this treatment. Obviously, Austin didn't, but that was, another lifetime ago.
Yes.
I think traditionally he hasn't been as hard on lady quitters as he has on guy quitters, because Probst. But I think
and also phrasing.
Yeah. But I think it makes sense also that I think he's just softened his stance on quitters. There's been enough of them, and it's just like, whatever, just get off the show. Like, we didn't lose much by losing Julie. It's just we lost an episode and an episode structure. So, and like her reasons, like, oh, it was hard out there. You don't know. You weren't here. Well, first off, I don't know. I'm not there, but like most other survivors that are commenting on it are calling you a loser. They've been there. And
the people on your season are still there.
There was 10 other people out there that weren't thinking about quitting. And I know there's been some sentiment out there in the places that we traffic that have been sympathetic to Julie. It's like, oh, she was getting a raw deal. They went through her bag and they found the trail mix and they weren't being nice to her and boo fucking who. Like, on the mistreatment that survivors have gotten by other survivors in this game where people gang up on people and vote them out, hers doesn't even rank.
If someone can sit there and take what Christina in One World took and still stick around and play the game, this is nothing by comparison.
Yeah, no, like, look, Edna in South Pacific. This is like anybody who's around Brandon Hance. And the weather this season wasn't even that bad. Like, if we're thinking about the other quits that, like, really suck, some of the worst quits, obviously Nayaka and Purple Kelly rank up there right highly. But they were at least getting pounded by pretty severe rain almost the entire time they were out there. Like, I can get how that would just cause a mind to flip. Now, the other argument that everybody else seemed to take it is valid, but I get it. If you're cold and miserable long enough, you could just be like, screw this, I don't need this. It rained for 2 days from what we've seen so far?
From what we've seen at least, yes.
And not 2 straight days, it's just like they're
2
basically
random days.
Once they gave up the tarp, all of a sudden there was a night. She didn't go to exile. Natalie went for her. She was on the tribe that ate so much rice that they had to throw it away and then got more given to them, plus a feast. She just had a merge feast. Like, she's been on a tribe that's eaten pretty well.
Yeah, I did like that her exit interview was like, you don't understand, you weren't out here starving. I'm like, neither were you! You were well fed.
The other people, they don't know, they don't get to play with they get to play with their loved one. It's like, you know who else hasn't gotten played with their loved one? Like, 95% of the people who've ever been on Survivor. Like,
exactly.
This isn't the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to not be with your loved one. So, I think this ranks up there as one of the worst quits because, like, she wasn't hurt. She wasn't injured. She wasn't out there on Exile Island. She wasn't out there starving or getting pounded by rain. She wasn't even going to get voted out this time. So, she just sucked, and she wanted to be with, and here's why, another kicker of why it was a terrible reason to quit. And for everybody, that was my dog shaking his head again. Her big reasoning is she wanted to be with John Rocker some more. If that's what you want to do, if you're going to give up on a game show so you can spend more time with John Rocker,
you're not going to draw a lot of sympathy.
No. You made your bed. Go lie in it. And I think that's also why she had to quit now. Because if she quits tomorrow, she doesn't get to go find him on whatever, island, resort they're sending people off to. She sits at the jury house.
Yes, well, I hope she enjoyed her time in the house with John Rocker, basically enjoying a free paid vacation from Survivor. Lucky her. But let's move on from quitting, because I'm tired of the fact that we have to talk about quitting every season.
Yeah, and to summarize our opinion, we're not even that strong anti-quitter. We're not like Eliza, where it just insults us to our core. There's been plenty of quitters who are like, yeah, sure. And even like the worst quitters, even a Julie, were like, whatever, let's just get off the show so we can focus on the people that matter. Like, I don't feel like it's a big insult, but it's just like, this is lame.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about something more exciting, like trail mix.
Oh, God. So, I know that you wrote this down that you want to talk about, but I'm going to stop you right here because we are not discussing food for a third straight week. Unless you want to make a podcast about Top Chef. We're talking about Top Chef instead? Because
I've never watched the show.
I don't blame you.
The one thing I want to say is there's some people who are like almost acting like Julie was done this huge wrong. They had no right to go through her stuff. And for one, maybe, it is a little gauche, but it's happened about as many times as like idols have been successfully played in Survivor. Like, people going through your things is just something that's going to happen on Survivor, which is why a lot of people hide their idols outside of their things.
Yes.
So it's not polite, but it's going to happen. And also, she was wrong. As much as it's, satisfying to say those idiots keep eating too much food and she should be able to squirrel away your food, you're not allowed to squirrel away group food. It wasn't her food. And if it was, like, say, she didn't finish the serving that was given to her, then she has to be out front. I'm going to finish this later, guys. I put this right here. But that's not what she did. She took food that was for the group, and she hid it. And she knew it was wrong. That's why she gave that confessional. That's why she hid it. You can't do that in Survivor. The food is everybody's, and if you're going to hide it, you will suffer consequences if discovered. This season has been a throwback that we've seen, like, 4 different names in Tribal Council and all this. And who knew that we were going to get a call back to Kel and the beef jerky?
Oh, you just so desperately wanted to reference Kel. So the funny thing to me, though, is that did you catch that, they have their merge feast, and a day later, they're like, oh my God, I'm starving. Where's that trail mix? It was the next day. You just had a massive feast with leftovers. You've destroyed all your leftovers? It's like 24 hours later.
Yeah, no, I caught that too, and it's another reason why it's like, God, these people.
How do they not understand the concept of rationing at all?
Yeah, to be a little fair, which I don't know if I'm that feeling fair, but a lot of that food probably spoils. Unlike, say, trail mix, which is why they probably had some reasonable expectation there'd still be some left. You can't keep a lot when you're out there in, a jungle, right? Like, the meat's gonna spoil if you don't eat it fast. And I guess some survivors have said, after the big eating is when you're the most hungry. But still, the entitled way, where John in particular is like, where's more food? I need more food. It's like, shut up with your goddamn food, John.
Well, and if you needed to refrigerate the food, you could just store it in Missy's cold, cold heart.
So, I just want to say that you don't mess around with people's food in Survivor and expect to win. It's a bad idea. Whether you feel like that person was entitled to their share of food and she should be able to hide things that she wants to hide and that's blah, 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 blah. No. Survivor is a social game where you need people to like you, and the quickest way they're not going to like you is if you eat one extra banana.
Banana etiquette 101, Andy.
Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say about the trail mix. So, so this episode sucked.
It did.
And this season sucks.
Yep. So far. And probably for the rest of it.
Yeah, do we have enough proof now that means that blood versus water is a concept that just isn't going to work when divorced from returnees?
Our friend Will suggested to me that this is blood versus water is a flawed concept because, and I'm quoting here, good people don't come in pairs. There's always one dud. So I told him to please invite me to his wedding someday so that I can print that out and present it as my wedding gift to him.
Yeah, maybe on a nice pillow.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that line, but I was in the same line of thinking, and it's kind of like you. It's like, stop stealing my thoughts, other people.
Right.
It's the difficulty of recording this the next day is I do try to hold some thoughts out. I do like to participate in the discussion in written forms, but it's like, the best stuff I might save for the podcast, and then it gets taken.
Yep.
Because we have no original thoughts. But, yeah, I mean, not that there's always one dud, but it is really, like, casting is really hard.
Yeah, it's hard in a normal season.
Yeah, just normally to find, 18 people or, let's be more realistic, like 14, because there's always some fodder.
Yep.
It's hard. And now they all have to be pairings? That's really hard. And, you've been writing on our Twitter account and other people have been commenting, like, stop making this the Amazing Race. Even the Amazing Race doesn't limit themselves to either romantic or blood relations. Sometimes, you know, they're coworkers or friends.
Friends, exactly.
And that would be easier, you know? It's like, hey, the podcaster team of two brilliant Survivor people. Like, that would be a great pairing.
Except one is Canadian, so he's boned.
That's right. You know, so then I said cowboys and globetrotters and all that. And, like, it wasn't all family members. Often the family members would be this dynamic that one would be good and the other one would be there. The difference is that they were always on screen together, so you would get the benefit. And also a lot with The Amazing Race, it was dynamics. It was how those two people interact with each other, because for the most part, you're only interacting with your partner, and the world at large. That said, another big thing is Amazing Race is not even that good at it themselves, which is why I don't watch the show anymore.
Right.
So Survivor is like, I think, while we don't have a ton of data, I think that it's not a concept that can really work because it's just really hard to find two people that are both worthy of being on television that are of relations. Even if you look back at the first Blood versus Water, which was a really good season, mostly because people were returnees, how many pairings were equal on both sides? Like, they were both good.
Oh, yeah, most of them were weighted to one side.
Yeah, and it wasn't always the returnee side.
Nope.
There was there was the family member side was the bigger half.
Yes.
But Ars Vetus, I'd say they've got winners on both sides there.
Yeah, that's the most even pairing, I think.
Yeah, and then I'd say Marissa Jervis probably had a chance of being alright. She seemed like she could have been good. She just was taken out early.
Yeah.
And then I'd say Candace John were about equal, but, you know.
Agreed.
Not necessarily dynamic on either side. But the rest, it was always one or the other. You know, it was like, it was Sierra, not Laura. It was Brad, not Monica.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Hayden, not Kat. Yep.
And then,
Tyson, not Rachel.
Yeah, and then the rest was probably on the side of the returnees, other than maybe Colton and I can't remember
Caleb.
His name. Rest in peace. So yeah, it's like even there where they knew they could just go and like, we know what these people are like on television. And obviously for a couple of the returnees, it's just like, good, let's just get that person. Let's just get Tyson. Oh, good, you have a girlfriend? Great. Which is exactly what happened with John Rocker and Julie, by the way.
Yes.
They just wanted John Rocker, and it's like, okay, well, for this season, you get loved one. Hey, I got this girlfriend. It's like, great. She looks like she can fill out a bikini.
Yeah, Probst actually basically admitted this week. He was like, you know what? To get John Rocker, we had to take Julie. We thought she might quit. He's basically saying, like, we wanted John Rocker, and, you know, Julie was part of that package deal.
Which in some ways can make John Rocker one of the worst pieces of casting they've ever done.
Yeah. Because
he really didn't deliver much of anything, and then they led to this too.
Right.
But yeah, in the first one, yeah, they just wanted Tyson. They just wanted Tina. But in the other pairings, I think they were like, okay, cool. We got this other person. Sure, if we need to bring Kat back, whatever. But in a non-returnee season, it's just too hard to do. And I don't think, like, yeah, the failure of this season is casting. But I think when you're trying to do this pairing thing, you've made casting that much more difficult.
Right, because you're going to pass over some great single players in order to get a pretty good pair. You know, you're not going for the pair with two A pluses. You'll take a B plus and a B rather than an A plus single player.
Yeah, because, like, looking at this group of people, like, what pairing it seems to be, like, equal on both sides? I mean, John and Jacqueline in a bad way.
Right. Both D plus.
Josh and Reed a bit. I mean, Josh obviously is getting a bigger part of the edit, but I don't know. I feel like Reed's an equal partner. He's the Amber to his Rob, I guess. Yeah, and that might be the list. Maybe Wes and Keith.
No, I was just going to say
that's a pairing worth.
I don't think that's equal worth because I feel like Keith, he's the one you want.
He is, but Keith's like Wes is okay.
If you say so.
Yeah, maybe he's not. Yeah, but anyway, that's exactly it. So I think Blood versus Water, even if you get beyond all of the, annoying family dynamics and all of that, it's just too hard to cast, and thus it should not be done. This is a solo game. It was a worthy experiment. It failed. Let's move on.
Well, you already said that this looks like just a terrible season. It's all going downhill. Not a lot of hope or light at the end of the tunnel here. So what do you think could possibly be done to rescue this season? Like, what would flip it around for you?
So I don't think there's anything that could really salvage this into the upper tier. or even maybe middle tier.
I was going to say, go for mid-tier. Don't aim so high.
Yeah. But I do have a list of things that would entertain me throughout that could hopefully at least maybe make it one of the better or the worst. Like, I'm so down on this. I just don't see it turning around to something satisfying. I think the easiest would be Natalie winning. I think Natalie winning would be more interesting. I think the winner is going to be Josh or Jeremy, and I think either of them would be fine. But because that's been the only story we've gotten so far, I don't even think that would interest me that much.
Nope.
But what we've seen of Natalie so far has been kind of, like, there's been moments where, like, hey, I think I kind of like her. So if somehow she won, that might be the result of, say, a more interesting story that got her there. Or it could just be that, immunities took out the person that was more likely to win, like
right.
in Amazon or something. So I'd like to see her win. Just, that would at least provide some surprise. An easy one that would really get us excited would be a Purple Rock drawing.
Oh, sure. That could liven up one episode.
Yeah, like pretty much any season. And this time, like, make that thing purple. Don't screw around with this white rock.
Exactly.
One that I think could easily happen that I'm hoping will is Keith actually playing his idol correctly.
Okay.
It's been a long time since that's happened, so that could just be like, hey, that episode was alright. Way to go, Keith. Also because I like Keith,
Yeah, Keith seems interesting.
So if they they did an episode where it looked like our beloved Keith, who might be our favorite player, how about you? Is that fair to say that he's possibly your favorite player on this cast right now?
Really low bar. But let's go with
incredibly low bar.
If he's not my favorite, he's number 2.
So yeah, if they do one like, oh, Keith is going to go home and then triumphantly he saves himself. That would be something. That'd be an episode that parked up a bit. Here's one that I think would actually be really special that's never going to happen. If Jacqueline voted out John.
Okay.
I don't mean like in the final 3 or final 4 where it's like, hey, I have a better chance of winning. You got to do this or whatever. Or, Missy's or Baylor's immune. But like next week, it looks like she's getting annoyed by all the sexism and John isn't on her side. Or she's just like, screw it, female alliance, and you're going home, John. Like, that'd be interesting, right?
That would be.
And then I have one more that I'm going to save, and watch, you already have it.
Oh,
but what do you got?
So I only have one thing. An Outcast twist. But you don't bring in the Outcast from this season. You bring in all the family members from the original Blood vs. Water and let them fight it out to take 2 spots. So you could end up with Hayden or Sierra or Vetus or Katie or Marissa, John, Brad Culpepper. And any single one of them would be better than almost every single person on this cast.
So yeah, I didn't have that because I'm not as crazy person as you.
Okay.
I did say when I wrote this down, be as outlandish as possible. You took that and ran with it.
I did.
And to your point, yeah, because anybody being on the show other than the people that are currently on would make it better. And that might be the only thing that would.
Right. You
really
have to think outside the box here, Andy.
It's true. I just wasn't thinking far enough outside. The one thing I think would make this season worthwhile no matter what happens, if this one thing happens, it would make it worthwhile, at least from a student of Survivor type perspective, is if there's a tie at the final tribal. That's what I'm cheering for now.
I would rather have that happen when there's good players that tied. It would be exciting.
I think I'd rather, if it's a good player, I want the good player to win, So
No, I'm saying if there's 2 good players.
Yeah, but wouldn't it always just put an asterisk? Like, I mean, like, Yule already doesn't get the credit he deserves due to the small asterisk that he has. But, yeah, like, I think it would also just be a perfect indicator of this terrible season that this jury couldn't get together and agree on anything. I mean, this is the season that, they went to tribal council and 4 different people caught votes. And just, like, I want to know what happens. And since I have no other vested interest in the success of people on this season, like, yeah, let's tie it up and just answer that question.
I mean, I do want to know what the answer is. Again, I'd kind of rather see, like, it's Tony and Trish, and they got to the final 3, and they split the votes.
But rather than it be, like, Missy and Baylor or something.
Oh, God. So that's what I'm saying, is, like, if it comes down to something like them splitting the million, which that's not the answer. Probst has said that that's not it. But I don't want that. I don't want either one of them to win. So, yeah, no, thanks.
All right, so I don't think your thing's going to happen. So
no.
Maybe
Don't give up the dream, Andy.
So maybe some of my ideas at least might add some spice to the season. What's going to happen though is somebody is going to win, and there's a whole lot of people that aren't going to win. And every week we like to call those people out in the 0% club. I feel like you've put in everybody.
If I haven't, give me a minute.
Except maybe Jeremy, Josh, Natalie. I've actually been a little more judicious, not because I typically am, but because I think there's going to be a crappy winner to a crappy season. If it's not the obvious, which is the winner of Jeremy versus Josh, it's just going to be some rando. So who else you got? Who do you got for this week?
Do I have Alec in there? Because I want to make sure I put Alec in.
I was actually going to suggest maybe we just stop doing the 0% club, but no, we need to keep doing it.
Yes, we keep putting Alec in, just in case. Don't let him escape.
Anybody else?
Do I have Reed in there already?
I believe you do, but just in case, let's put him in. Yep. I know I put him in, and then I don't know if you agree.
I think I was close on it. I don't remember if I took him in or not. I'm leaning towards Jacqueline.
You already put her in, so
okay, good. That's fantastic, because now I don't feel so bad about leaning towards her. I already have Wes in there, so I mean, yeah. I'm not going to put Keith in, because I can see the small percentage chance that Keith wins this season.
Yeah, Keith is Bob Crowley.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see the same minuscule percentage chance for Missy or Baylor, so I guess that's it. That's all I'm going to put in there.
Yeah, so I've already put in Missy and Baylor. That's something that people overlooked when I was making my outlandish claims that Missy might be playing best, was that I was doing it while saying she's not going to win. Like, yeah. I'm not crazy, people. I just think that, socially, she's been doing all right.
Well, let's talk about how socially she was doing all right, by the way.
I think we missed that part of the discussion, because I think I know what you want to talk about.
Yeah, because she was doing so well socially that she said, listen, Julie, we need you. You just stick around for one more vote. You just stick around for a couple more days. Like, way to really inspire some confidence in that girl. Like, way to work your social game.
Yeah, and people are pinning that as a failure, Missy. I think Julie was a lost cause. I think at that point, the only sale you could get her is maybe it's like, okay, you're going to quit. I know you're going to quit. I can't stop you from quitting. Could you at least do this for me? Because obviously for you, you're just going to quit. So, like, trying to, like, get her fully on board, no, me and you to the end, you're a vital member of this team, I think would work against Julie's desire, which is to leave. Like, I don't think Julie was looking for, like, a handout to prove that, she's her friend still. No, I don't think it was stunning gameplay. Again, I'm not saying that Missy is freaking Kim Spradlin. I'm saying on this gallery of losers, she's been doing all right for herself. Things have been going her way, which I think she deserves some level of credit. So that wasn't a great job by her, but I also don't know if there was a job to be had. I think Julie had to quit now in order to not be sequestered.
Fine. I'm still not impressed with her D+ game surrounded by a bunch of Fs.
Yeah, and here's I'm not impressed. Again, I'm not impressed by her either. I'm just saying that as much as we dislike her, she's doing what she set out to accomplish, possibly. But here's a failing she actually had in this episode. She did not assuage Keith's doubts and fears about having his name come down.
You don't think so? You don't think he was convinced?
No, I think that was a big fail, and that's why if she was able to keep Keith in the fold, which she previously had, Keith was on Team Missy, not Team Dale and Kelly, Josh never would have had a move to make.
Well, it was funny, too, that her argument to Keith was basically like, oh, listen, sweetie, here's the thing. It couldn't be me or Baylor, so it had to be you.
Exactly. And Keith is like, I should have just told me, and I kind of think that was almost true with him. I think he would have been like,
might have worked to tell him.
Yeah, so, no, that was a bad job by Missy. Again, she sucks. They all suck. She just is doing alright for herself. Back to the 0% club, I don't know if I have anybody left to put in. I mean, I haven't put in as many as you, but again, does Jacqueline feel like a winner? No, but in this season, it could happen. Jenna Maraska would have been in the 0% club justifiably, very easily, and early in Amazon, and she ended up winning.
She would have been in the 0% club in the middle of the finale.
Yeah. So, one of these losers could pull off a Maraska or a Fabio or something. Alright, so next week, what do we think is going to happen?
I already said, I mean, I don't think the couples alliance ever actually exists. If it ever was going to exist. You needed to strike while the iron was hot, and someone dumped a whole bucket of ice on that iron, so it's not happening.
There's enough time now that if John was truly considering going with that, he'll have time for second thoughts.
Right. So that's not happening. I think you made an interesting case about Alec actually being a target. Not that John or Jacqueline would be wise enough to suggest that as a plan, but I gotta go with Josh. He seems like the obvious target, right?
Yeah, I think we roll over our Josh or Reed prediction. If Josh wins immunity, then Reed. But the one thing I'm thinking about Alec and why I'm almost tempted to put him in there is just what we're seeing from the preview. I think Alec is the one that's going to really piss Jacqueline off, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
In order for Jacqueline and thus John to get their way, maybe they just vote out Alec. Especially if Josh wins. Like, maybe Alec is the second and not Reed. If Josh wins immunity.
So we get to delay our Jeremy versus Josh for one more week.
Yeah. I suppose. It's like, the Soviet Union and the U.S. not actually going to war with each other, but having all these land wars across Asia.
So Alec is our Vietnam?
Possibly Korea. So yeah, that's next week. There's another prediction I have. I don't know if I'll care. So what we might do instead is pad the rest of our podcast out, which is nonsense. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So this has been a terrible season. I'm thinking that it's possible that it might contend with Nicaragua as the worst season of all time.
How dare you?
It's on pace. And, fitting because it's in the same country. Now, there's been some crazies out there lately that have been defending Nicaragua. And,
how dare they?
Crazy. Yeah, seriously. Get off my internet. You can people that. The season was so bad. What's wrong with you? Do you not enjoy things that are good? But we have an idea here that could lead to an even worse season. So what happens?
Well, we should clarify. This isn't our idea. This is actually a popular idea.
Yes, I was going to say that. You get enough people talking about potential Survivor gimmicks, potential Survivor seasons, you'll get multiple people, multiple Survivor fans, multiple people that listen to podcasts and talk about it every week, suggesting that they should do an all first boot season. And to clarify our position, John and I both think that is a horrendously bad idea.
Yes.
And we're nerds. Like, we do a podcast about Survivor. Like, we're deep into the show. And we think, no first boots. And I think where this comes from people is, first off, when you're a fan of something, there's kind of an instinct to not go for the popular thing. It's like, I gotta prove my fandom by being into this obscure cut. I'm not gonna cheer for Boston Rob. I gotta be on these other survivors that you might need to look up who they are in order to discuss them. But I think some of it's just from a genuine place of being good people, feeling bad. It's like, oh, those people barely got a shot at it. So what we're gonna do tonight is we are going to cast an all first boot season.
I'm so excited for this.
Because Probst, who is typically a dick, answered this question recently on Twitter. You retweeted him because somebody again proposed it to him, because it always happens, and he's just like, look at who you'd have to cast and then talk to me again.
Yeah, he goes, look at that list and come up with 18 names for me. Go ahead.
Yeah. And we were going to do that, and then we decided, let's just do 16. 16 will be enough to make our point.
Yes.
Because
we could probably do 10 and you'd get the idea.
We're going to draft teams, and the reason why we didn't do 18 is it's hard to do the gender split. So each of us are going to draft 8 players, 4 men, 4 women to be our tribes. Which makes me wonder, what do they do in 18-player seasons? Have all 18-player seasons been the split gender seasons? Or does one tribe have 5 and 4 and the other has 5 and 4?
No, sometimes they do 3 tribes of 6.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Math Man.
It's almost like someone is a fan of Survivor here.
Numbers are not my friend.
Yes.
So, rules. No returning players. So obviously there's been all-star seasons, there's been half all-star seasons, where people came back and they were the first person voted out. But when people are talking about first boot seasons, they're not talking about bringing Rupert or Tina back. They're talking about people who, no, poor them, never got a chance to play Survivor. So, first boot people that were returnees, with one very important exception, do not count. And that exception will make sense as soon as we talk about
yes.
her. Also, we're talking about the first person eliminated. So there's been a couple times there's at least one time when somebody was medically evacuated and she wasn't voted out. She counts.
Yeah. I actually kind of disagreed with you on this. I think we should have gone with the person actually voted out, but that's okay. Whatever.
It's first elimination.
Fine.
Because they're not going to call it first boot season.
Fine.
First elimination, which also in Palau, there were 2 people that were voted or eliminated from the game at the same time. They were never voted out.
Yes.
So they both count for Palau. So which means several seasons will not have anybody, because that would be the returnees. And then one season has 2. We're going to do this in a draft style. So if you've ever played fantasy sports, it'll be a snake style where one person goes and then the next person gets 2 and then the next person gets 2. That way, the first person doesn't get that big advantage of these great players.
So am I trying to pick a tribe that beats yours?
No, I don't think it really. We're just trying to balance out 2 tribes that would make good television.
Okay.
And to clarify, we are actually going to try to pick the best here.
Okay.
Yeah, as much as we think this is a stupid idea, we're not going to, gild the lily by just picking crappy people, because you'll find quickly that there is nothing else to choose from. Yeah. We want to create the very best possible first elimination season to show you that it's a bad idea. So I'm going to give you the first pick.
Well, do you even have to take a guess? Because
no, there isn't.
Yeah.
But let's put it out there.
There is Francesca, and then there is everybody else. So
yeah, the literal all-star of this season. Yeah, she is obviously the exception to the rule, because she has returned, but she was the first boot each time.
Yes.
So she was a legitimate first boot, and then she was again. And yeah, no, I mean, if you're going to do this horrible idea this season, the only way you do it is if you can get Francesca.
Yeah, she is your all-star, as you said.
And if this cast doesn't vote her out again, then I would be crushingly disappointed with them.
How dare you?
They could have a hashtag three-peat on there, throw Riley some money, and oh my god, it would be so funny. And here's the thing, I think Francesca is also the best they have to offer. She was actually I think she had potential.
She was, I think, targeted. I mean, Rob targeted her in Redemption Island with good reason. Like, he didn't target her because she was useless. Rob is smart. He targeted her because she was an actual potential threat to him because she had a brain. Look who he surrounded himself with.
Yeah, no, and I think they should vote her out because it would be really funny. But also, she would be the biggest threat. You need to get rid of her. She's the most experienced first boot of all time.
She's got 6 days of experience.
Yeah, and it also seems like she hangs out with survivors. She's not just cast aside and forgotten like other first boots. No, you band together. You need to if you don't get rid of Francesca early, she's going to take over this game and win it.
Does she hang out with RC?
Probably not. Let's hope not.
Okay, good, because that would really diminish my opinion of her.
Actually, it's a good thing you brought up RC. Another qualifier is there's been a few people that have been eliminated before the season started. To this season, RC's dad would being another, and then Melissa McNulty, who I remember because her last name is McNulty.
Yes.
None of them count. It's the first eliminations of the season that actually aired.
Hey, spoiler alert, I wouldn't have picked RC anyway, no matter what.
Well, and then RC wouldn't have counted anyway because she's returning.
Right.
Alright, so it's my pick, and I'm going to go with David Sampson.
Okay.
From last season. I think, any good season needs some stunt casting. That's probably not true, but he might have been okay. I think he was flawed and was always going to be flawed. In our preview, we predicted exactly what he was. He was going to be an executive alpha that just goes too hard too soon. And
he played the post-merge game before the game started.
Yeah. But here's what I want to say to him, and it's funny to make fun of him as a talent evaluator because of the Marlins. But the people he went up against were Jatia and Garrett. So in the I gotta pick somebody right now, he picked Garrett. And then once they got to the island, they was trying to go after Jatia. I think that was actually a pretty good evaluation right there. Those were 2 of the worst people to ever play Survivor. So I think he deserves another chance. And also, there's some name recognition. I tell you, David Sampson, you know who I'm talking about. Some of that's recency, but also, he has some level of fame. So
okay.
He's my first pick. And then, swing it back around, I'm going to take Nadia.
Okay.
Basically, to harken back to what we were talking about just earlier, I like Natalie. I think she's good television. I think she's a good player. I don't think any reason to suspect Nadia wouldn't be the same for the same reasons. Split her up from her twinnie and maybe she's a perfectly good person. So we already have this use case of one half of that womb being pretty good. So let's give Nadia another chance to prove that she could be Natalie.
Okay. Well, now that I know that my tribe doesn't have to beat yours, I'm just going to try to get the most interesting people.
All right.
So I'm bringing Chicken.
Ah, Chicken. I'm surprised you went off the board there.
Yeah. Chicken from Survivor China, for those of you that are not aware.
Oh, I should have been like, damn!
And then I will take Jessica from Survivor Fiji, Jessica DeBen, who was the cute white girl that went home first.
Is there anything else more to say about Jessica DeBen?
Nope. Pretty much it.
and people will note that this will be a common thread for us, that there won't be much else to say. I mean, these people were barely on the show, and this is what you want. These are the people you want back. And like, we are big Survivor nerds. We just spend a part of our summer talking about every season, and I'm still struggling to talk about some of these people. But I had Jessica on my list too for similar reasons. She seemed cute.
Yep.
And she could have done alright, but reverse racism, all the power. It's really about ethics and games journalism. I don't know. Alright, so for my next pick, I'm gonna go with a player who was never voted out of Survivor. And you and I earlier discussed it would be hilarious if he was the only person not chosen for this. But I'm gonna go with Jonathan Libby, who was, so in Palau, they put them all on one island to start the game. And then, after one night, they had a schoolyard pick'em where they picked tribes. And the last two people not taken were Jonathan and Wanda?
Yeah, Wanda.
And thus they did not get to play Survivor, which is one of the shittiest things Survivor's ever done. The whole reason why people want to do first boot seasons is because they feel bad that these people didn't get much of a chance. Well, nobody got less of a chance than Jonathan Libby.
Right. Other than
Besides
Wanda.
My
notes on them, by the way, my notes for Jonathan is, he was on Survivor once, kind of. And then there was my notes for Wanda, is old, female.
Which is, I think you might have, you could have probably just put ditto on a few of those. Now I'm tempted with my swing around pick to handcuff Jonathan with Wanda.
No.
But I'm not gonna do it.
Wanda is now 65, so we're taking into consideration the age of these people if they were to actually return.
Yeah, but we are actually trying to put together, like, the best you could do. So we are taking real world considerations into here. Which is a good point. Like, I was really tempted, because I knew you were going to take Francesca. The most first. The best first.
Yes.
And instead, take the first elimination theme to its ultimate peak would be the very first person eliminated from Survivor, which was Sonia. But she's like 77 years old.
She is now 77 years old.
Yeah, so I'm not putting her on an island. I can't imagine she would pass the physicals or whatever. So, I don't know. Maybe, like, in the promotion, you gotta mention Sonia. Maybe Rob brings her on the podcast to talk about it, but we can't put her on the island.
Can you imagine her trying to navigate a podcast? I don't know that she can manage. It would be more
difficult than some of our guests have had.
Yeah.
Now I want to see. We should find out if Survivor Oz has talked to her. Alright, so for my next pick, I'm gonna go with Carolina Eastwood.
Oh.
She was the very first person eliminated from Tocantins, and she's really hot.
Yes. That's my note about her.
And she is. Now, another benefit is, you have her on the show, and then maybe on the reunion show, David Murphy would come back and ask her to marry him again.
Jesus.
And then maybe he would cheat on her again with Alicia.
You know far too much about the personal lives of survivors.
Okay, that one's in bounds. That happened on TV. Yeah. We all saw it happen.
Yeah.
On the Redemption Island reunion show, David Murphy brings this Brando out. It's like, oh yeah, she was kind of on Survivor once. And then, asks her to marry him, and she's like so awkward. It's like the chick at the ball game that's on the Jumbotron. She's like, okay, yeah, sure. And then, I found out this postscript when looking this up that, unfortunately, their love match wasn't made to be.
What?
They broke up when apparently he cheated on her with Alicia from One World.
What? Really?
Apparently. There you go. Andy's Gossip Corner has brought you this information.
I think that's what we should do for the rest of the season because it's going to suck. We should just have Andy's Gossip Corner and we'll learn about different survivors' personal lives.
Yeah, so that's knowledge I just found out today when looking up first boot survivors. But you should look up Carolina just for Google image search because she was an attractive lady.
Why not?
All right, what do you got?
Okay, we'll see again because I know that we're trying to make this like a, interesting season rather than just making the best possible tribe. I'm going to take Semhar from South Pacific for the same reason you just took Carolina.
Semhar is really attractive.
Yes, she is.
So if you don't remember, she was the poet. And I think she was actually a recruit because they wanted a beat poet because that's something you need on Survivor.
Sure.
So I'm sure she's pretty annoying.
All poets are annoying.
Yeah, we follow many former survivors, and when I was putting together our follow list on our Twitter account, I originally added to her because once you start following enough people, they suggest. And I don't think she watches the show. I don't think she's into Survivor whatsoever. She was never tweeting about it. But this summer, Troyzan retweeted an Instagram picture of Semhar that he took because he's a photographer. And now we're following her again.
I unfollowed her at some point, and then we saw that picture. I'm like, oh, back in. Change my mind. She might be one of the most attractive people to ever appear on Survivor.
So yeah, that's enough. Now here's one thing, because I was thinking about putting her in, and then I decided that Carolina would probably be better television because I think Semhar will quit Survivor. Yeah. She has to play for very long.
I think so too.
All right, so now you're up to 3. So if you're just going to cast one more hot chick, you're going to be done.
Nope, not doing a hot chick. I am actually going to
phrasing. I am all the time.
Well done. Okay, well, yeah, so if I only have one female left, then I'll save that one, and I'll do Zane from Philippines.
Because tell us a bit about Zane.
What you really want in Survivor is someone who quits smoking the day before they start playing Survivor. That is a recipe for success in this game.
Trying to get some of that Shane magic back.
Yeah, we've seen it happen with Shane and with Rocky from Fiji. It is the way to go if you want to be a great Survivor player.
Your guys on your tribe so far are dynamite, by the way.
Aren't they?
Zane and Chicken.
I feel like those two would make a strong alliance.
All right, so I have my rankings. I actually ranked players because I've decided I take fantasy drafting that serious.
Oh, so
I have a player that's next, but I kind of feel like maybe the other one. Let's look at my tribe dynamics so far. And
you're not trying to make them work well together. You're just trying to get a good
No,
tribe.
But if we're making a season of Survivor, there are things you need to take into consideration, such as demographics. So I'm gonna go off the board just by one pick, and I'm gonna go with Sekou Bunch.
Okay, so that's what I assumed you were gonna take.
So Sekou was on the Black Tribe of Survivor Race Wars, and he decided he was going to be the leader, and they decided no thanks, and they voted him out. It's funny. But here's the thing, it was a tribe of 5. It doesn't take much to piss off 2 people, and then the third person to be like, yeah, sure. So I don't necessarily
know. As long as it's not me.
Yeah. So it's not as big a failing as 9 people getting together to vote you out. So I think, sure, bring back Sekou. He might still be okay.
Sure. And he's only in his 50s at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we also, as part of our mix, you want a little young, a little old. So as old, I've got David Sampson and Sekou. And I forgot, this is a turnaround, so I shouldn't have thought so long and hard about my next pick. And I'll just go back to my board here, and I'm going to go finish off the men of my tribe.
Phrasing.
And go with Brooke Garrity of Survivor Vanuatu. If you listened to us in the off-season, you heard me go off many times about how much I hate Survivor Vanuatu. And the biggest reason I hate that is I felt like Chris Daughtry really made the first half of the season suck by forming his group of loser beta males and going after all the alphas. Of which Brooke was the first target because he was the most threatening. So there's a good chance that Brooke actually might have been good at Survivor. And that's what his downfall was.
And really, he's one of the only young males you could actually pick.
Yeah, he's 37 now, so he must have been, he's in right around the peak for Survivor time. I think I might have just drafted the winner this season. Or not, because I don't fucking remember. I don't remember who this guy is.
How dare you? This is chicken season to win.
All right. Who you got next?
I'm not going to pick this person. I just wanted to share this because as I was looking up who all these first boots were, do you remember Deb from Australia?
You know what you're talking about.
So, Deb from Australia, I'm looking at her, I'm like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember Deb, and cause I remember I predicted before that season started, oh, she looks like the one that will be the first boot. And she was. And I saw her bio, and it says she got married to her stepson. Now, I'm not going to pick her for this first boot season, but if you're looking for an interesting story to include in your first boot season, that beats out 3 divorces.
I was gonna make that joke! When they talk about her Oedipal love affair, more or less, than her Missy's marriages.
I think marrying their stepson beats 5 divorces even. That's really high up there. Okay, so I'm not going to take Deb. I feel like just out of loyalty, because I tried to pick Courtney Moon in our Brains Brawn Beauty fantasy draft. So I'm taking Courtney because she broke her wrist or something in the very first challenge. She didn't really get to play. Plus she was cute. I liked Courtney.
Yeah, I think, Courtney also fits what people want out of this season. Oh, poor Courtney. She never really got a chance. And that's legit true. She's doing the challenge and she just breaks her hand. And then she finds out she has cancer. I mean, there's no more hard luck story than Courtney. Now, the one caution here is we've heard that perhaps the cancer's come back. I don't know. I mean, she's not really out there. We don't know if this is true. So you'll cast her now, and if she doesn't pass the screening, then there's plenty of female alternates, because guess what, people? Women get voted out first more often than men.
Yes. And with the men, it tends to be older men that go. With women, pretty even distribution between young ladies and old ladies.
That's right. We've got a lot of hot chicks already.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hot dudes.
No.
All right, so you have drafted all the women for your team.
Yes, and I am scraping the bottom of the barrel here for guys. And again, as a quick aside, not picking this person, because I would never pick this person to come back. Peter from Marquesas was absolutely nutballs. If you don't recall Peter, you should go back and watch the first episode of Marquesas, and you will never want to see Peter on your TV again. He had a whole theory about holes, and it related to holes of your body. It was just very weird and gross and creepy, especially coming from him because he looks creepy. No one should be able to pick Peter. I want to veto if you try to take Peter.
Well, I already have my guys because I think I wanted to avoid being in the position of
having to take
picking Peter Harkey, because I actually had to rank him because I'm kind of interested in how you're going to fill up 2 slots without picking Peter.
Yeah, there's only so many people left here. So one, I'm going to take Ryan from Amazon.
Yeah. He's easily the next off the board.
Yes. He basically went home because Rob C was like, I'd rather align with Roger.
And also because he couldn't walk across a balance beam.
That too. So I'm taking Ryan.
All right. So now I have to pick 2 women. You've already made all your lady picks.
Yep.
I'm going to take the first boot from Nicaragua, Wendy de Smitkola.
Sure.
Here's what I want to say about that. Maybe her being chosen and not liked by the group of people in Nicaragua speaks highly of her.
Oh, that's a strong case.
Because those people suck.
Yes, they do.
And the old tribe particularly sucked. They were like, I don't know if she can hack it over old-ass Jimmy Johnson when she's like a retired Marine or something like that. Yeah, sure, her. And also, we've been picking a lot of young hotness, so let's get a little older lady. She's only 51, so she's not super old. She was old in Nicaragua terms. But yeah, she's a retired U.S. Army soldier, a nurse, a rancher. She could have abilities that could help out on Survivor. And she wasn't around long enough for me to hate, unlike everybody else on the season of Nicaragua.
All right, get your last pick in here.
And then to finish off my team, I'm going to go with Marissa Callahan from Samoa.
Okay.
So she was picked by Russell Hantz to be part of his Dumb Girl Alliance. And then it turns out maybe she wasn't so dumb. So we voted her out.
How dare she question Russell's alliance?
Yeah, so again, not being thought highly of by Russell Hantz might mean that she's actually a hidden treasure that we missed out on.
And I get the very last pick. So, oh boy. I can take Peter, who I already mentioned. I'm not taking. I can take John from Survivor Thailand, who was the pastor who thought dehydration was a hilarious thing.
I'm just going to lie to people about this water. Yuck, 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 yuck.
Or I could pick Jim from Guatemala, who is now 72 years old.
How old was Rudy in All-Stars?
I think he was actually in his 70s. I think he was about in that 71, 72 range, which is insane. All right, you know what? I'm going to pick Jim from Guatemala.
Every season needs a first boost, even a season of first boost.
Exactly. I really just want to take some heat off Francesca so that no one, like, even if they want to go with the hilarious vote her out 3 times first, like...
They can't.
Yeah, you can't. You're going to be screwed if you do that.
Well, it might be an asterisk in that she'd still be the first person voted out, but Jim was medically evacuated during the photos.
They started handing out buffs and he passed out.
So this is what you want, people. So, of this great returnee season that CBS would present all of their promotional efforts, you've got David Sampson, Nadia Anderson, Jonathan Libby, Carolyn Eastwood, Sekou Bunch, Wendy DeSmit-Koloff, Brooke Garrity, Marissa Callahan against Chicken Morris, Francesca Hoagie, Zane Knight, Jessica DeBen, Ryan Aiken, Sam Hartadis, Jim Lynch, and Courtney Moon. And tell the truth, how many of these people could you even remember before we did the research today?
Yeah.
Half?
Oh, if you got to half, you're a huge Survivor nerd.
But do you really want to see this? Is this a bunch of people?
Well, here's the question I'll pose to you. Would that season, that cast, be better than this one that we're watching
Possibly.
right now?
It's possible.
I think so.
You'd assume that a lot of these people were cast thinking they'd be good at Survivor, not because they were related to somebody that might be good at Survivor. So it's in play, but maybe not. Maybe this is the cast that would make us feel like, oh, you know what,
San Juan wasn't
so bad. So there we go. If this season continues the way it's continuing, this is the kind of podcasting you can expect, people. And if you like it, if you think that we really should have given Deb Eaton her due, send us a note. You can tweet us.
You think there's a lot of Deb Eaton fans out there just chomping at the bit to send us their protests that we didn't include her?
We should check out hashtag Team Deb. I'm sure they're all over social media. It's the other thing, like, how many of these people are even on Twitter?
Yeah, they'd have a hard time tracking some of them down, I'm sure.
I know. It's like, obviously Semhar is. But,
do you think Sonia's on Twitter?
I want her to be.
I do too.
All right, so you can send us a tweet at Purple Rock Pod. You can send us an email, purplerockpodcast.com, or you can visit our blog.
How about mention that the Purple Rock Podcast is at gmail.com.
What the heck did I say?
purplerockpodcast.com.
We need to get that.
You think?
I mean, do they give those out for free? So purplerockpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on our blog, purplerockpodcast.wordpress.com. Leave a comment, listen to the show, and we are going to post these tribes with pictures that might jog your memory of who these people are. I will do that.
I was going to say, you're going to do that, because don't volunteer me for work.
All right. Next week, you're not going to be here.
Nope.
Julie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm quitting on us.
I envy you so much. So I'm going to find us a guest. I think you'll enjoy it. And
no, you won't.
We'll find a way to get John in there somehow, some way. Anything else, John?
Nah, that's it. Let's get out of here.
Theme music.